My name is Jordan McLeod and welcome to my YouTube channel. I wanted to share this specific video with you because this is a part of my life that has been huge ever since I've been young. And so I wanted to share this with you about my father wounds, my upbringing without having my father in my life. So tune in for this specific video and we'll get to the point of my story. I remember growing up, a young man, a young boy in Seattle, Washington. My mom, she found this man and they got married and they had two kids, two young boys. One was my older brother. The other one was, of course, me. So I grew up in Seattle. During this time, my mom was in a relationship with my father. And my father was a working man and always diligent in what he did. But something hit our family, and that was divorce. My dad divorced me and my mom and my older brother at a real young age. Honestly, I don't even remember when it happened. But I remember when I was young growing up, what that was like growing up without my dad. And so during that point of not having my father in my life, it really caused a lot of rejection, pain, anger, even anxiety, even rebellion. And I remember as a young youth growing up in Seattle that I wanted to find acceptance, significance, passion. I wanted to belong somewhere. And so since I didn't have my real dad there for me, I would find it in different role models. I remember even this specific time during the late 90s and early 2000s, I was listening to rap artists like 50 Cent or Lil Wayne. I don't encourage you to go and listen to those people, but I was listening to them and they were my role models because I didn't have my dad in my life, so I wanted somebody to glean from. I wanted somebody to lean on. And those were the people I entrusted my life to. Even though that they weren't close to me, I looked up to them. I remember my favorite basketball player, Allen Iverson. He was my favorite basketball player. And I remember watching him play and the way he made moves and crossed over people. I wanted to be just like him. Even growing up, listening and hearing about Michael Jordan, I wanted to follow him. I wanted to follow his footsteps. And so I had all these men that were so far away from me that I still wanted somebody that was close. And so one of my biggest fans that was close to me was actually my dad's dad, my grandpa. I called him Papa. Now, Papa, he was from Tallahassee, Florida, so he had that southern accent. But when I was growing up, he would come to my basketball games because I started playing basketball when I was 6 and I fell in love with it. And so that was my lane, that was my avenue in which I would find that significance, that acceptance, that even that affirmation, good job, you scored 10 or 15 points or whatever. And so that was my passion for a while. And then I began to get a little bit older. I started to slow down in the midst of elementary because I would bully people. I just would release anger on people because I never had that love from my father, from my father figure. So I would lash out on other people. And it was so bad in my life. During my rebellion, I would steal from the store, or I would bully kids didn't matter the grade because I was always taller than everybody. But I would bully these people, and then I got to the point where it was so bad I got expelled from 2 schools during the early stages of my life. And so I started to slow down when I hit middle school because I realized the pain that I was causing my mother. And then I slowed down in that place of stealing and fighting other people and bullying because I knew the pain that it caused not only my family but also other people. And so I wrestled a lot. My mom had other people that would try to counsel me. I didn't want to open up. I was like a shell. I was like a young boy stuck in a cell, stuck in a room that I I had no idea of how I can get out. I had no idea of how I can express myself with some of the things that I've gone through. And so during this stage of growing up more and more and more, I realized the pain even more. I realized the wounds that I had to wrestle through. I had to fight. I had to conquer in my mind. And no young man, no young boy should be in that situation to pull themselves up by their bootstraps, to learn on their own and experience mistakes and certain things because of not having a father in their life. But there's so many fatherless homes, there's so many fatherless young men, especially, obviously women as well. But specifically for my own life, it caused a lot of pain. I didn't know how huge my father wounds were until 2015 when I went off to college for my senior year to finish out basketball in school. I had got into a lot of trouble. And I remember I sat down with my mentor and I had no intentions of saying this. I had no intentions of saying this at all. I knew this was a problem. I sat down with him and I had a conversation with him and I said, this would have never happened. This would have never happened if my father was in my life. And this is when I knew that during this time in 2015, that was a problem. I rose up like this and I said, this would have never happened if my father was in my life. And I kind of stood back like this because I was terrified. I didn't even know where that came from. I didn't know that there was like that manifestation of like, hurt and wounding. And I wanted to figure out what this was. And so I wanted to go on a journey of being, 23 years old, of trying to figure out how I can address these things that are inside of me that I need help, I need healing, I need to counsel. And so these father wounds have hurt me so much that I've hurt other people. But through the redemption, through the restoration of Jesus Christ, I gained victory. I gained breakthrough in areas that I never thought I could break through. And so now, being a grown man, there's still things lingering that I still have to process through. There's still struggles that I still have to keep pressing through. And even in the midst of it all, that mess and that chaos, the things that I experienced, what I realized is God prepared me to be a minister to those that don't have a father, because I can sympathize with them. Because you see, Jesus never had an earthly father. He had Joseph, which would be kind of like his stepfather, but he never had a dad. But the one that he did have was his heavenly father, which is God. And so Jesus sympathized with us, those that grew up without a father or didn't have or maybe had a father that was present but not active. What I realized is through Jesus, I can learn how he went through his journey of not having a father and depending on the heavenly Father, depending on God. And so that has just been the encouragement of the victory of my lifestyle now. And even forgiving my father. I forgave my father when I got saved in 2008. When I got saved, I totally told Jesus that, when he asked me, he said, I want you to forgive your father. And so I said, absolutely, I will. I'll forgive him. And I processed that. I wrestled through that, and here I am today. By the grace of God, I'm standing here. By the grace of God, I am sharing this story with you. And so I wanted to share this video with you because, like I said, this is probably one of the most vulnerable videos I've ever made so far. But I wanted to share with you because I know that there's other young men especially that are struggling. There's other young women struggling. Fatherlessness, it's running rampant. And God sees it. And God is a father to the fatherless because he's fathered me. And so I wanted to share this video with you, hoping that you would share it with other people or sit down on your couch or sofa and watch it with your family. And so I wanted to share this with you so you can impact others through this video. And I hope to see you on my next video. See you later.